So, how can one of the world's most infamous pests also be an ecological superhero? That is the incredible, almost unbelievable story we're diving into today. It's a tale of transformation on a scale that's, well, it's pretty hard to wrap your head around. Okay, check this out. On one side of the globe, in Australia, you've got 200 million rabbits running wild, a full-blown plague just wrecking the ecosystem. But then, on the other side, in China, they've deliberately imported millions of them to literally save the land. So, what gives? How can the very same animal be a total villain in one story and the hero in another? That's the puzzle we're going to solve. And it all comes down to this one central question. How did China take the Kubuji Desert, a place they literally called the Sea of Death, and turn it into a living, breathing green oasis? The answer, well, it involves a very unlikely hero and a completely revolutionary way of looking at nature and money working together. First things first, let's meet the bad guy of our story. The Kubuki wasn't just any desert. For decades, it was this unstoppable force of nature, just swallowing up everything in its path. This whole process has a name: desertification. And it's basically this relentless creep of sand that turns good, productive land into barren wasteland. It's a huge threat to communities and ecosystems all over the world. And the speed of it, it was terrifying. At its worst, the Kubuki was expanding by 500,000 acres every single year. Just try to picture that. That's like an area bigger than a huge city like Los Angeles, just gone, buried under sand, annually. Of course, people tried to fight back. They weren't just sitting there. Back in the 50s and 60s, there were these huge tree planting projects, sand control stations, you name it. But it was no use. The desert was just too powerful. The wind and sand buried everything they tried. It really seemed hopeless. And then along comes this local entrepreneur, a guy named Wang Wenbiao. And he has an idea that, let's be honest, pretty much everyone thought was completely nuts. He was going to take on the Sea of Death with a plan nobody saw coming. His plan started with one very specific tree, the willow. Now, willows are amazing survivors. They can send their roots an incredible 300 feet down into the sand just to find water. The idea was to plant a whole grid of them, hold the sand in place, and eventually harvest them for things like paper and furniture. But here's the catch. This is the problem that almost killed the whole project. See, for the willow wood to get really valuable, you have to constantly prune off the new, skinny shoots that forces the main trunk to grow thick. Now, imagine trying to do that by hand for thousands and thousands of trees. In the middle of a desert. It was just impossibly hard and way too expensive. And this, right here, is where our story takes this brilliant, unexpected turn. The solution to this massive farming problem wasn't some new machine or hiring more people. It was a rabbit. Specifically, something called the Rex rabbit. This one little animal created this perfect self-sustaining system. It's genius. So first, they were the pruners. They loved munching on those tender new willow shoots, which did the pruning job for free, forcing the tree trunks to get thicker and more valuable. Second, they became little fertilizer factories. Their waste turned that sterile sand into rich, fertile soil. Third, they were accidental gardeners. They'd spread undigested grass seeds everywhere they went, planting new vegetation. And finally, they became an economic engine. Rex rabbits, it turns out, have incredibly valuable fur, which created a whole new, profitable industry for the local people. It was this perfect loop where the ecology and the economy were just feeding each other. And this wasn't just some clever little idea, okay? This was a full-on revolution that completely remade the region. The results, they're just staggering. Over 3 decades, this project successfully turned 6,250 square kilometers of desert back into Greenland. To put that in perspective, that's an area bigger than the entire state of Delaware that was reclaimed from the sand. And the human impact was just as huge. An estimated 100,000 people were lifted out of poverty. They found new jobs and a stable future in a place that people used to have to run away from. This wasn't just a paycheck. It was the chance to actually build a life. The economic change was also just incredible. The average yearly income for a farmer in this now revived region hit $9,600. That is a life-changing amount of money that meant families weren't just scraping by anymore. They were actually thriving. So, back to our original question. What's the real difference between the Australian plague and the Chinese blessing? Well, it all boils down to one simple word: control. In Australia, wild rabbits were let loose in an ecosystem with no natural predators, and their population just exploded. But in Kubuki, the rabbits are part of a carefully managed farming system. They're just one piece in a bigger, integrated plan designed to restore the environment and create economic prosperity. But wait, there's more. This amazing model didn't just stop there. It kept evolving, and it started to bring in modern tech in a way that is, well, it's truly breathtaking. Right in the middle of this reclaimed desert, they built a massive solar power plant. And I mean, massive. It's so big, and it's shaped so perfectly like a galloping horse, that it actually holds the Guinness World Record for the largest solar panel image on the planet. But get this, it's not just about making clean energy. The solar panels themselves are actually fighting the desert. They provide shade, which means less water evaporates, which allows grass to grow underneath them. And who do you think they use to manage all that grass? Yep, the rabbits. The panels also slow the wind down by 50%, which protects the soil even more. It's a power plant that's also a desert-fighting machine. This incredible system, this integration of farming, animals, and energy, it actually has a name now. They call it the eco-economic revolution. It's a model that proves that we can work with nature to not just stop destruction, but to actually reverse it and create prosperity while we're at it. And that really leaves us with a powerful final thought. With nearly half the world's land threatened by desertification, the Kabuki story proves that even the harshest environments can be healed. If we can turn a sea of death into a garden of life and energy, it just makes you wonder, what other impossible problems are we just one clever idea away from solving?